Hey guys, this is Jason
This
Douglas.
is Adam MacArthur, voice of Yuji Itadori.
This is Derek Snow, the voice of Shinra Kusakabe.
This is Phil Parsons, voice of Kenny the Ripper Ackerman.
It's Merc New One. You're watching Voice of the Heroes. Take it away, Flea Boy.
What's good, everybody? You know who it is and what it is. And if you don't, it's the one and only one, Flea Boy Jetson. And you're watching Voice of the Heroes podcast. So if you're tuning in for the first time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any interviews or discussions from your favorite heroes and villains around the world. And if you're listening to this, you can watch this on YouTube. So make sure you check us out over there. Like, comment, and subscribe. And today we got a very special guest. You might have heard or seen him in multiple different projects like Invincible Fight Girl, Fighty and His Amazing Friends, The Polar Express, Beowulf, Agent Carter, and he's been cast as Enzo in the highly anticipated Netflix original Devil May Cry. Let's welcome Chris Coppola to the show. How you doing?
What's up, dude? You know, we were just talking before you got on, and I got to tell you, man, you just handled that so great. I mean, so there should be no juice in you other than feeling good.
That's what's up. So before we get started, let people know a little about yourself.
Let's see here. Sort of fell into acting. Registered for the wrong class in college. I thought it was appreciating movies. It ended up being an acting class. Ended up going. Teacher said you can leave if you don't like it. I ended up loving it. Ended up being in like the spring show at college, and I was just hooked from there on in. And then, you know, as I was coming up, I was always going to be a character actor. You know, I was never that guy that had the hard jawline. I always had three chins and an attitude, and so I just, you know, I knew my place. And I got into, came to LA and just started doing it and got lucky, man. Got into some commercials, and I've done over 100 commercials. I've done a bunch of, obviously, if you look up my IMDb, I've done a lot of guest starring and a lot of co-starring and a lot of independent films. And I've done some, studio movies. And I've just been lucky enough to keep working, man, which is, I'm just super blessed for that reason.
That's awesome. Do you remember what your first gig was?
I do remember my first gig. So my first commercial gig was I was in a Planters Peanuts commercial, and that was awesome. Made me a lot of money. Back in the day, you made some serious bang when you did some commercials. So it was fantastic. But my first acting job was ER, and I just had to gurney. I was playing a cop who like gurneyed in a I had like some ridiculous hat on. I was so. Can we swear here? We could swear here. I was so fucking nervous, man. I was shaking. There's all the stars from ER, and at the time, ER is the most popular show on the planet. And I was just shitting myself. But I somehow during the rehearsal got my correct line out. It was just like a line, and I could not have been more stoked. And then, obviously it played, and then the rest was, not the rest is history, but I was just feeling it. And so, two steps forward, one step back, always with acting.
That's what's up. What's been your most unexpected gig? Like something that you got, and you was like kind of stoked for, like, wow, I got this. What was one of those projects for you?
So there's a TV show called Ray Donovan, and it's a highly anticipated, highly regarded show, especially in the acting community, right? Everyone has to act in that show in terms of auditioning and things like that. I got a call that said, Ray Donovan wants you on their show. I'm like, well, do I have to audition? And they said, no. They're thinking about you being in the opening season. And I'm like, really? For how many episodes? They're like 4 episodes. I'm like, whoa, that's like a big deal, man. Sorry, I got a little dog here that's barking. Anyhow, long story short, man, all of a sudden I was on Ray Donovan. I'm like one of 2 people who never had to audition. And what ended up happening was Liev Schreiber, the star of the show, was going to direct one of the episodes, and he did not want to. Sorry about that. He did not want to. He did not want to audition actors. He was like, yeah, this is not gonna. I didn't want to sit through rooms of actors and deal with all the bullshit that you have to deal with. So what he did was he looked at acting reels, and then he saw my reel, and he said, you know what, this guy knows what he's doing. I love him. I'm going to offer him the part. And then boom, there I was. I was in Nevada for 2 weeks with John Voight and Liev Schreiber and the rest of the gang working on a very tense acting show, but it was fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's kind of dope. Now
yeah,
let's get into, what definitely a lot of fans are gonna be stoked for. Me, it's one of
sure.
my highly anticipated shows that's coming out this year. You have Dante as Johnny Young Bosch, yourself as Enzo, a fantastic cast. Devil May Cry is a huge popular video game. They
Yeah.
did the animated series before. Now they're coming back with a Netflix original. How did you get involved in the project?
It was just like any other, project, man. I just, I've been, with the voiceover world, they say it takes a lot to get into it, right? And then when you get into it, you're kind of in, and then it sort of gets easier to get jobs. And I was literally auditioning for about 19 years with not a huge, some successes here and there, but nothing big. And this, ever since COVID, I've been doing my auditions at home, which was actually a blessing in disguise for me, because what I was able to do was I'd do the audition and I was just doing them on my phone. I mean, I was just laying my auditions. Everyone else has like a whole setup at, like through their computer. I was just doing all my auditions on my phone, and Enzo came in like any other audition. And I just got a beat on him. I mean, Enzo's just more of like I sort of do like this thing right here. Like he's like from New York, and I do like a rough sound for him. It's sort of like a Joe Pesci sort of meets Enzo sound. And I just threw down the audition. And then because I really never get them, my agent called me. I was at Trader Joe's shopping, and my agent was like, "We fucking got one."
Let's go.
And so I was like, "What did we get?" She's like, "Devil May Cry." I'm like, "You fucking shitting me?" And boom, yeah, it was just on. It was on, man. It was so great.
That's awesome. What was your first impression of Enzo when you read the script?
Oh man, I loved every bit of him. And then my first day of working with Johnny, who was like, such an accomplished VO dude, and he's got such a style, right? And I'm more from the world of on camera acting, right? So I bring a lot of that to it, right? There's no sort of I like the rough edges around my acting in the VO world, and it's sort of what I'm selling. Whereas some of these other guys have this sort of like, Johnny has this voice that he does, and it's so impressive. And so like when I heard it the first time, I like stopped and looked at him. But I started throwing all kinds of stuff out. Like I was improvising all over the place, which is one of my strengths as an actor. So I was just sort of like feeling them out for like how many F-bombs can I throw in? How many, can I throw in shit? Can I say the word, can I talk about tits? Can I anything I could figure out to throw in, I was gonna throw in. And then I figured out where their lines were in terms of like safeties and like, hey Chris, we can't say that. And then Johnny was loving it because I'm so, a lot of Enzo's obviously me, and you could see that just in me talking. I have a lot of like energy in my voice. And so throwing that at Johnny was like, he was even a little thrown. And it was just this great combination of the two of us. And I think it was like 3 episodes where we did a lot of the work together in the same, on the same day. It was during COVID that we were doing a lot of it. So he was at I think his recording studio at his house, and I was in a studio in Burbank. But we were getting to work off one another a lot, which was fantastic.
Oh, that is awesome because especially through the whole COVID era. So this project's been worked on for about 5 years now that we're finally
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah. No, this thing has been worked on a lot. A lot. So, and then as I didn't even start seeing stuff until last year in terms of like, what do I even look like? What, it's nothing. I was not seeing anything. And then I started seeing some rough sketches. And then last year I got to see some like actual like artwork and like some playback, and it was gorgeous. It's such a cool looking show. I can't wait for the world to see it.
Yeah, definitely. Now we was talking a little bit about Enzo and your portrayal of him, right? He's portrayed as like a sleazy yet comical
Yeah.
type character. How did you approach voicing him? Did you just say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna just be myself," or did you, use any type of elements from somewhere else?
You know what? I use that sort of car salesman-y attitude with him. He seems like he was always trying to get a deal done. And then the thing with Enzo is it always feels like his deals are have ulterior motives. You know what I mean? Like who are they benefiting? Right? Sometimes, Enzo's the kind of guy that will make a deal that might not even benefit himself on the front of it, right? It may look like it's selling someone else out and really be benefiting say Johnny, but it so it just sort of I just sort of played him in a way that was very mercurial. You know what I mean? The guy was just sort of like whatever the best deal is that was right in front of him, he was going to take. And then he's so slimy that he's able to sort of worm himself out of stuff if he got himself in trouble.
That's awesome. And last question about Devil May Cry before we move on. What was it
Sure.
like working with the creative team behind the anime?
They were great, man. They were great. You know, that's a lot of work. I think they're based in Korea. So there was a lot of there were like late nights for them. They were like, it was either like 3 o'clock in the morning for them and it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me kind of thing. But they were really, really, they always gave me fantastic notes. And they were really, you know, just spot on about what they had a real vision of the show. You know, you could tell that they were being really careful for the fans' sake in the sense of what they could do for the video game so that translated to the show and really brought out the best elements of it, right? Because there's some cool shit in the show, man. I would
I
see
can't
some stuff in
wait.
the last year, you know, I'd be like, oh shit, man, that is looking fine.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait for it, man. April 3rd, Devil May Cry,
Yeah.
Netflix original. Make sure y'all check it out. Um, we just talked about you in the voice acting world,
Yeah.
right? We know you did on camera work and you also did some motion caption
Yeah.
acting as well. What's
Yeah.
been like the most challenging out of the three and how did you overcome it?
Oh wow. So that's a great question. I would say the most challenging one at first glance would always be motion capture. And I did the first, I was in Polar Express. And so with Polar was one of the first, I think it's the first movie ever made with motion capture, right? And in that now it's a classic. But at first when they were selling it to me, you know, when I got the part, and it was something that happened over a long period of time, you know, I do a lot of auditions. So I got a call, I think 4 months after the audition. And so when it came in, I didn't even really remember the project. And then I had to sort of go back and they want you to play a 9-year-old. Wait, how are we going to do that? Is that a voiceover gig? And I know it's this thing called motion capture. They're doing it in Lord of the Rings. At the time, Lord of the Rings was getting ready to come out, right? And Smeagol and Gollum was going to come out looking like he did. And I think that translated better because he was more cartoony looking, right? There was a creature, it wasn't a human, so they were able to really sort of fudge around with stuff. But when I went on the set of Polar Express, it was a little intimidating, obviously, because Bob Zemeckis is a Academy Award winning director. Tom Hanks is there, you know, being Tom Hanks and being his, you know, he knows he's Tom Hanks when you meet him. You know what I mean? So he knows he does so much pre-work on who you are that he comes up to you. I'd never met the man before in my life. He goes, Chris, nice to meet you, Tom Hanks. And he just immediately takes himself down to you, which is fantastic. But now the man's wearing a wetsuit. And look, the only people who look good in those things are like bodybuilders and hot girls. So, you know, I immediately noticed Tom had a flabby ass, and I thought, okay, he's at least normal. And you know, listen, I look like a pear in a sock. You know, I mean, I look horrible. I mean, there is nothing unattractive about me in a motion capture suit. But I will tell you this: after you start doing mocap, the great thing about it is it's a lot like acting class in that it's all about imaginary work, right? You got to like pretend there's a giant Christmas tree there and you're a 9-year-old and there's Santa to your left and a reindeer to your right. And so it was really freeing, and not having a costume ended up being really freeing. And once I got over the sock and the pear move and Tom's flabby butt, we were all good to go, man. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I love it, man. Yo, you're actually hysterical, man. Did you ever do comedy? Did you
You
ever
know,
try out comedy?
I did this movie with do you know the comedian Chris Spencer?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So Chris Spencer and I are in a movie together, and this is a movie called Postal I did with Uwe Boll. Postal's a video game also. And anyway, I come out and I'm supposed to be shooting this giant like 10K gun, right? And I come out, it's like it's hooked up to the back of a Mustang, and I come out and it's not firing yet, right? But I go Pachoo, 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 pachoo. And Chris comes over, man, and at cut and goes, man, you are one of the funniest motherfuckers. If you ever want to do stand up, I will help you do stand up. But I never did it, man, just because the hours were different in my life. I'm not really wanting to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning drinking gin and tonics at some weird club, making 11 people laugh. So I really just put that focus into being a comedic actor.
You definitely should go for it, man. You're fucking hilarious.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
So, if you could voice, right, any character, fictional or real, who would it be and why?
Oh man, that is a really hard question. And I've gotten some opportunities. They've done some, they do some like reboots of like Bugs Bunny and stuff like that over at Warner Brothers. And so I've had some auditions where I've had to like go do those kind of things. And you realize when you're getting into them how difficult they are, how amazing Mel Blanc and Chuck Jones and those guys were. And Mel Blanc did like, I think he did all those like Yosemite Sam and Bugs Bunny and all that. But the one I've always wanted to do, and it's a simple one, but it's Scooby-Doo. Man, I fucking love that dog, and I would love to do anything he has to bring to the table. And so Scooby would be the same. I don't know if you know this. The same guy's been doing Scooby since 1970, whatever.
Oh man, he's still doing Scooby-Doo.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it. I'm waiting for him to die, but he won't die. I mean, that guy is cranking, man. He's probably in a Scooby-Doo costume right now. I mean, that guy just does Scooby.
Wow. All right. If you weren't an actor, what would you be doing?
Oh God, I'd definitely probably be close to being a con man of some sort. No, man. I mean, it's like that's a great question. I guess if I had to choose, I mean, I would love to be a musician, but let's just leave out art altogether, right? Any kind of art, or stand up or anything like that. It's nothing performing because that's all easy for me. I think it would probably, if we had to pick like a sane job, it would probably just be like a teacher of some kind. I do like being in front of the youth and seeing faces of various ages and seeing their desire to want to learn. So I guess probably a teacher of some kind.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's get a little more into like, your lifestyle and things like that. What is Chris watching right about now? What's on your watch list?
Shit, so I'm so into movies right now, man. I'm so into movies. I feel
what
like
genre? What's your favorite genre?
You know what? I'm all over the place right now. I've been watching some Woody Allen, and I've been watching some like weird like Blade Runner, and like I'm just starting to see some like great movies. I mean, I love that 2 hour moment. You know what I mean? I love that long form storytelling. I of course I love streaming and I love all the shows, but I sometimes feel like there's so much stuff, and then there's that whole idea of binging. It just feels like you're gonna have diarrhea for a month. You're just gonna try to digest a show in 7 hours, 8 episodes, and then like what's next? Like we're in such a rush to get to where, and so it's more about shows right now. I'm really into like, this is really weird, but like it's like reading right now. I'm getting really into Stephen King, and it's kind of incredible, man. My daughter got these Pulp Fiction novels for Christmas, and I just wanted to read. My daughter's 12, 13, so I wanted to make sure they were appropriate. And so I'm reading through them, and they were so good. I went into Salem's Lot, finished that. I was like, shit, this is so good. I read The Stand, and now I'm reading the fucking Shining, baby.
Oh, that's what's up. Okay.
And it's terrifying, dude. It's terrifying.
No, that's what's up. That's actually good because a lot of days I think it's so important for people to read and also consume that type of media because now it's everything, especially kids. They got such short attention spans with TikTok and reels and shorts and things like that. It's hard to just get them to sit down and actually read.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, man. I started it also from just like, listen, we all spend so much time on our phones. We could kill 3, 4, 5, 6 hours on watching dogs and girls in bathing suits. And it's like, at what point, what did that do to my life other than make me laugh and give me a boner? And so at that point, it's like, what can I do that's just going to be a little bit better for me? And it just doesn't get any better than just sitting down, for an hour, half hour, read a book, get through a few chapters. And as someone who's a storyteller, I'm in the middle of trying to sell scripts and make my own projects. I'm constantly interested in, and that's one of the reasons why I'm watching a lot of long form stuff, because I'm trying to make my own movie. And so when I'm watching a movie, I'll be like, why is the camera there, right? Why aren't they moving the camera? Why are the actors moving in out of frame? Or why are they punching in, and then why are we following him, or why are we following her? And so it's becoming more of an educational thing for me. If I watch, let's say if I watch something, I'll watch it 3 times, one as a viewer, one as a filmmaker, and one as an actor. And
I love
and
that aspect.
and see and just sort of take notes, as because the best way to watch it is just as an audience member, right? But then if you're going to watch Blade Runner as a filmmaker, it's another whole experience, right? Like why is all that moving? Why are we stationary? Why are they touching those things? And then you realize that there's certain things that are on a set, like for instance, there's this age-old saying that in the theater world, if you introduce a gun in the first act, you can be damn sure it's going to go off in the third act. And a lot of that really happens in movies and TV shows, right? Something's introduced. It's just a little taste of it, right? Just a little taste of it. Could be dangerous, could be funny, could be whatever. And then as the story opens up, we realize that was a really key component to this whole thing. So that's that. And the Stephen King thing for me is also like, reading his books and then seeing how they translated it to film, and why they made it that way. And I think he's super underrated in terms of his comedy. There's a lot of funny shit in his stories all the time that doesn't translate into his movies.
You said you was working on some scripts, and you plan on hopefully making a movie one day,
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
willing.
Yeah.
And best of luck to you on that journey. What kind of genre are you going for? Like, what genre are you in right now? Your mind.
So I got two projects going. I got Bassano Brothers Plumbing, which originally started as a TV show that I'm turning into a movie. And that's sort of I guess if you had to pick a genre, I mean it's mostly like a Coen brother movie. I want you to be laughing when you should be crying, and I want you to be crying when you should be laughing. So it's got a lot of juxtaposition. Most people would call that a dark comedy. I don't really like it's too broad of a term for me. And then the other thing I'm writing is sort of these two cops sort of in the Lethal Weapon world of like the 80s cops driving around, undercover cops, and they're trying to break this satanic worshiping group up. And what they're doing is they're taking souls and giving them to the rich. So it goes, how there's that saying, you can't take it with you.
Yeah.
Well, now you can.
I love that idea. And it got the little supernatural feel for it. That's my favorite genre. I love supernatural stuff. I can sit there and watch stuff like that all
Same here.
day.
And if I can mix those worlds of it's a little funny, like Lethal Weapon, right? But then it gets really dark and scary because we're all scared of Satan. No one wants their soul taken. So I've got those two projects going, and listen, man, that's people ask you what's the hardest part about being an artist, and I would say the hardest part is the self-motivation, right? Is the get off your butt and do it. And that's why I think athletes can make good actors, because the one thing the athlete has is the work ethic, right? They're used to getting up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and torturing themselves, right? And running or swimming laps or lifting weights. And you need that drive if you're going to do this in any capacity.
Man, you're right about that. It's so amazing, the range that you have, the talent you have for all types of things. Because some people, act, and that's what they want to do. Some people they want to act, produce, write, direct. They want to do the whole thing. They want to know the insides and outs. And I think right there shows self-motivation within itself.
Yeah.
trying to learn and strive for that. So,
Yeah.
man, kudos to you. I hope I
I
can't wait.
appreciate that.
Maybe we get you back on the show to talk about that someday, man.
Yeah, of course. I'd love that.
Um, before I ask you my final two questions, right?
Yeah, sure.
Tell us one thing that the people might not know about you.
There's a lot you don't know about me. There's a lot. I
I'm
guess
scared that you laughed.
yeah, no, there's a lot, man. There's a lot. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm an uncovered treasure here at this point.
You
I
know
think
what I found interesting?
What's
Off
that?
camera, I found interesting you was a basketball fan, a Lakers fan.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I was
no.
like, oh, he knows basketball. He knows
Oh no.
basketball.
I know my hoops, man. And I'm actually even though I'm a pair and a sock, I'm fucking really good at basketball. That was my jam. I used to play basketball and football. I mean, I use sports as a distraction, I mean, and I think everyone does, but it's nice to, because there's a lot of ups and downs with doing this, right? And you don't get to do it this long as I've done it without learning how to balance those feelings, right? There's a lot of times you're up for a part, and then you didn't get it. And your heart breaks, man. It's like you're attached to those things. And so just learning to deal with that. I feel like I'm a pretty spiritual guy. I have a saying with my daughter every day she goes to school: be kind and have courage. And that's sort of my motto. And I tell her that comes in a lot of different sizes and shapes, right? You have courage to sometimes just ask to go to the bathroom when you're in class. And be kind. That's a hard one for everyone to do. It's easy on the surface, but can you be kind when you got road rage? Can you be kind when you're having a bad day, your dog's freaking out and you're in the middle of a podcast? Can you be kind in that moment, right? And so I guess that's the one thing that maybe people don't know about me is well, no, if you know me, Cope's fucking cool as shit. I'm pretty sweet. I'm definitely give you the shirt off my back. You wouldn't want to see my back, but I would do it for you. But yeah, that's it. And I'm really committed to what I'm doing, man. I drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago in terms of believing that I can do this. And I'm constantly asking God for a sign. Maybe I shouldn't, but the signs keep coming back as to do it. And I'm hoping Devil May Cry goes on for a while, and I hope that we get some other opportunities, because I'd love to be doing more voiceovers as well as the on-camera stuff.
Yeah, going back to Devil May Cry, I do hope we get about 4 or 5 seasons, maybe even more, because it's one of my favorite. Dante's one of my favorite characters, and I just adore Johnny Young Bosch. Like, he's one of my favorite voice actors of all time. Speaking of voice actors of all time, matter of fact, I usually do a Mount Rushmore of voice actors.
Okay.
But with you being so much in front of the camera, I'm gonna ask you, who are your Mount Rushmore of actors in general? You could pick 4 actors of all time to be on this list. Who will be on that Mount Rushmore?
Well, that is a crazy question, because that's like asking your favorite movie. But I'm gonna just go with instinctual stuff that's like right there at the tip of my tongue, because my daughter, for some reason, is obsessed with the Oscars. I am not. My daughter is like constantly asking me, hey, in 1998, when the Best Actor came out, did you really agree with so and so winning? And my daughter is right now in a stage production at her school, Fiddler on the Roof. And so I've recently saw a lot of Fiddler on the Roof. And so I'm going to go with, I think from the female end of things, I think obviously Meryl Streep is one of my favorite actors. I'm going to say I really like to watch this guy, Zero Mostel. That makes me sound old, but he was fucking great in The Producers, and he was great in Fiddler on the Roof. And he's just got such a presence, and I love that. And I love all the character actors, people that I want to be. I'll leave you some of those names out, but those guys that became famous in the late 70s and the early 80s and 90s, like the Dustin Hoffmans and the Al Pacinos and the Robert De Niros and all those people, the Christopher Walkens. Those people are not classically beautiful, right? They're charactery people. They want to play characters. So any of those kind of character people. I love Christopher Walken. I love John Cassell. He was in Godfather 2. He played Fredo. Trying to throw another female in there because because I've been watching a lot of women with my daughter of late. Yeah, those are some of the people that I just absolutely adore. In terms of VO people, I mean, I told you earlier, Mel Blanc and Chuck Jones, and I got a little bit out of the VO world in terms of as a viewer. So I don't really know, like I didn't know Johnny till I looked him up and started working with him, and then I realized I was working with a guy that's probably going to be an icon in this business, if not already. And so I was really, and I just recently exchanged emails with him. We were talking back and forth. I said, hey, man, if there's any advice you have for me, please let me know. I mean, I know I'm more of an on-camera dude, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about the VO world. And he said, just keep doing what you're doing, bro. You're doing great. And it's about to happen for you in that world. So enjoy that. So yeah, so those are my people. I mean, again, I'm a little into like the more, I'm a little older. So those older actors I'm trying to think some young ones. I love Shia LaBeouf right now. I think he's doing great work. I think Andrew Garfield's doing some great work. I love Florence Pugh. I oddly got into the Marvel world because of my daughter, and I love everything about it. I was sort of not against it. I just wasn't interested, and then she got me into it. And I think everything they've done over there. Of late, I like that Agatha show. Catherine
Agatha
Hahn,
was really good.
yeah, Catherine Hahn's pretty great, and all the ladies in that show were great too. So hopefully that's a little bit of that wasn't a Mount Rushmore. That was more of like a soft mountain.
Nah, but it was dope, man, and it's dope. One of the reasons why I asked that question because I like to, get a better understanding on
Yeah, and
how
look,
actors feel about other actors.
comedically, John C. Reilly, Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart. I think The Rock is fucking hilarious. I mean, there's a lot of people. As this, we're gonna hang up, and I'm gonna think of 7 other people, but that's those are my jams right there.
Speaking of The Rock, who you think is the best wrestler turned actor?
Oh, it's
You got
easily
you got John Cena, Dave Bautista, Stone Cold, The Rock.
Yeah, you know what I like? So it's a tie between The Rock and Batista. And I think, they both are men of you can look up to them in terms of their careers. I mean, all those guys you mentioned are really successful and wonderful. But you could tell Batista really wants to do some acting, and so he's doing some littler stuff, right? Where he's made a ton of money. He's got money. Now he wants to learn how to act, and he wants to do some projects that are a little more intimate and a little more get to show him on a different side of things. And I think The Rock has done both things, right? He's shown us that he can act. He's shown us he can voice act in Moana. He could sing. And he's also shown us that he's comedically viable and powerful. He does the one thing right that a lot of actors don't even do right. And The Rock is really good at listening. He's fantastic at it, man. He doesn't, obviously he doesn't have the training that a lot of other actors have, but if you listen and you just react, there you go, man. And that's what he does really fantastic. So I'm going to give it a tie between those two, but I like what Batista's doing a lot right now.
Definitely. All right, it's time to let you go, man. It was a blast having you on the show. Are there any upcoming projects or conventions you're able to talk about?
You know what? I got no conventions going on. I got Devil May Cry coming out, and I'm just really pushing my movies right now. I'm close to raising some money, so fingers crossed. And everyone out there in the internet world, if you know someone that wants to make a movie, tell them to give me a call.
That's what's up. Also, where can people find you at on social media?
My account got hacked, so I'm down to please come and like and be my friend. My account got hacked, and I got 400 followers. I'm on Instagram, Chris Coppola 9. I had to do C Coppola 9. I had to do 9 because 10 was taken apparently. So Chris Coppola's official page. But then anyway, I'm on Instagram. Please hit me up, and I cook a lot. I'm even if you compliment my meals enough, I may even bring you one.
Okay, heroes, villains. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let us know in the comment section who you would like to see next on the podcast. And remember to love yourself, pass that love on, and love others. And if nobody told you so, just know your boy love you. and we're out of here.
Sing it with me, pretty Cali, pretty Cali, pretty Cali.